My name is James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Africa number 2. I made a video and I deleted it because I had put the Young Turks on there, and you guys know how much I really love the Young Turks. If you've been watching me, you know I love the Young Turks. And they had did something about Donald Trump that was totally irrelevant, and I don't know how to edit on this computer, so I had to delete it. Now, I'll tell you what I said in the video before I played the Donald Trump video. I'm posting these videos about Donald Trump because of what he said about the Pocahontas thing with the Navajo, when Pocahontas is actually Powhatan. He was referring to a woman who may have Native American ancestry or may not, and he was making fun of her in front of the Navajo guy who was a wind talker back in World War II. So I found some old videos. I'm going to play them to show you guys just how much Donald Trump does not like Native Americans, indigenous to this country, Native Americans. I'm part Cherokee. And I also said that I will make a video about being multicultural and giving you guys the hardcore truth that only most of us multicultural people really can understand. Now, people, before you go too far with my multiculturalness, I will tell you, when I fill out an application, I put down black. Yes, I do. Do I relate to myself as black? I relate to myself as multicultural. I feel more Native American than black, but let's go by the rules of the law. By all legal standards, my birth certificate says black, so I put down black. Now, this board came up because I put videos up earlier about Donald Trump months ago, saying something in 1993 about they don't look like Indians to me. And, you know, because of the casinos and all the other stuff and all the wise tales and lies that everyone has thrown down, and how, for some reason, this guy's the president, but he's a big racist-ass SOB, and most of you guys who voted for this bastard supported him, and I think that the Pocahontas thing went too damn far. Too far. Now, you know, I can't find much about the Standing Rock yet, but he did say he had no business in Standing Rock, and then turned around and rescinded Obama's protection of Standing Rock. And that shit's still going on. It's just not being covered. It's barely even being covered by social media now. That's pissing me off. And I don't have money to travel anywhere, which is why I'm stuck in Virginia. And, you know, the things that we've gone through here in Charlottesville hasn't been much more help with statues and shit like that. So we're going to go, and I'm going to play these videos with Donald Trump. This one is about a border wall on Native American land. And then I will find the other one about 1993. And I will play them so that you guys get your heads up. And again, when I'm done, I will make a video about being multicultural and not being accepted by any of my cultures, so that way you'll know. You know, the hardcore truth in America is that America is a crazy ass country. We also are the most racist country in the world, and we also do some of the dumbest fucking shit in the world. We need to bring the ass whoopings back. That's point blank period. So here we go with this video. Please enjoy this video.
This past week, President Trump's plan
This
to
video's
build a border
old.
wall was
It's from
put on
April
hold
of this
after
year.
he backed off demands for
Sorry. Trying to
Congress
show
to
you guys
fund
the
it.
title.
But the border wall debate rages
See,
on in
April.
Arizona. Carter Evans paid a visit to a Native American tribe fighting to keep the wall off its land.
So this is it. This is where you can go and I have to stop. Where you stop right there. Verlin Jose is vice chairman of the Tohono Nation, a tribe of American Indians allowed to cross the border where most Americans cannot.
We can cross the traditional with our tribal IDs. You cross, you have to go to an official port of entry.
The Tohono Nation is roughly the size of Connecticut. It straddles 62 miles along the Mexican-American border in Arizona. Tribal members live on both sides and are caught in the middle of the border debate. They allowed the federal government to build a vehicle barrier in 2006, but they strongly oppose a wall through their land. The current border fence cuts right through this ranch, which is owned by a tribal member, and their well is now on the Mexican side of the border. A wall here would make it impossible to get to. Do you want a wall right here?
I do not want a wall there. There actually is no word for wall in our language because we were never contained. If you really want to secure your city and town, build it around your city and town.
I'm all for anything that helps protect our country.
Mark Lamb is the sheriff of neighboring Pinal County, 80 miles north of the border. He showed us a path illegal immigrants and smugglers used to pass through the reservation and enter his county, where nearly 3,500 illegal border crossers were detained in January alone. Would a wall in the Indian reservation be helpful?
Absolutely.
It's a deterrent.
It's a deterrent. A lot of people think that's insensitive. It's not. We're protecting our home. We're protecting what's ours.
Tribal leaders say they're working with federal agents to better protect the border, spending $3 million a year. But building a wall is a step too far. As far as you're concerned, this is not Mexico and this is not the U.S.
This is technically Autumn Hajiwat, translate to the people's land.
And since the federal government gave control of this land to the Tohono-O'odham more than 150 years ago, it will now require an act of Congress to take it back and build a wall.
We can't let that happen.
CBS
You already
News
did that
along
shit
the
with Standing
U.S.-Mexican
Rock.
border.
Now, as you can see, these things don't have to happen. Now I'm going to play this one again. You guys can see me. Cool ass commercial, right? If you're a Star Wars fan.
Correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians, and a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
Depends whether, yeah, depends whether or not you're approving it, sir.
No, it's not a question whether I'm approving it. It's not a question whether I'm approving it. Mr. Trump, you know in the history of this country where we've heard this discussion before, they don't look Jewish to me.
Oh, really?
They don't look Indian to me. They don't look Italian to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a test for whether people could go into business or not go into business, whether they could get a bank loan. You're too black. You're not black enough.
I want to find out. Well, then why you're approving for Indian? Why don't you approve it for everybody then?
That's not a
If your case is non-discriminatory, why don't you approve for everybody? You're saying only Indians. Wait a minute, sir. You're saying only Indians can have the reservations. Only Indians can have the gaming. So why aren't you approving it for everybody? Why are you being discriminatory? Why is it that the Indians don't pay tax, but everybody else does? I do.
Okay, I'm going to pause right there for a second. You know, he asks, why does it approve the Indians? Why can the Indians only have the reservations? Well, maybe he forgot that way back when the Europeans took the country from the Indians, they didn't have a place but the reservations. You know, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, you know, it's kind of crazy and retarded that this man doesn't know his history, that Native Americans didn't give up America. It was taken from them. Right? Now, I say them because I'm only part Cherokee, and it'll have something to do with the video that I'm going to make in a little bit. But, you know, I'm looking at this, and, you know, here is why don't Indians pay taxes with Trump? I'm going to play that. I've watched it, I think. I won't swear to it. But the fact of the matter is that Native Americans do pay taxes. The reservations have to pay taxes on their casinos too. And people don't know that because no one's ever actually asked. Alright? But here's the thing. Native Americans need money. A lot of people don't hire Native Americans for the simple fact that they are Native Americans. Because in America, it's still cool to be racist. We found that out personally here in Charlottesville when a young lady named Heather Heyer died because some assholes wanted to save a statue. And other assholes wanted to remove a statue. And unfortunately, some dude from Tennessee that had no business here in the first damn place ran her over with a car. And so here's the thing. As long as we're going to keep having racist problems, until we fix it, it'll never be fixed. And, you know, it kind of sucks ass that the President of the United States would say shit like that. Now, this was the one from the other day, and I want to play that after I play this.
1993, Donald Trump's gambling empire was on shaky ground. His 3 casinos in Atlantic City had all just emerged from bankruptcy, and only a year before, some tough new competition arrived on the scene. Foxwoods, a Native American-owned casino in nearby Connecticut. Under federal law, Native Americans don't pay taxes on casinos located on their land. And in 1993, Trump sued the government, alleging the law gave an unfair advantage to a certain class of citizens. Later that year, Trump was called to testify before a House Subcommittee on Native American Affairs, and he got into a heated exchange with Congressman George Miller, Democrat from California.
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're
Clearly
going to
it's
judge
the same
people by
video,
whether
I'm
they have
sorry.
Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like to Indians. Now, maybe we say politically
Connecticut.
correct or not politically
How
correct.
far is that from New York? How far is that from Manhattan? The Manhattan Indians used to own Manhattan and lost it in a gambling game because they didn't know the European rules of gambling.
Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God.
You guys don't know about the Manhattan Indians, you should probably Google that, and how they lost the island of Manhattan to the Europeans in basically a card game. It's kind of the same thing that happened with Hong Kong and China, and the Europeans, how they won Hong Kong from the Chinese in an opium-induced game, or whatever the hell. I forgot exactly how the story goes.
And that was a test for whether people could go into business or not go into business, whether they could get a bank loan. You're too black. You're not black enough.
I want to find out. Well, then why you're approving for Indian? Why don't you approve it for everybody then? If your case is non-discriminatory, why don't you approve for everybody? You're saying only Indians. Wait a minute, sir. You're saying only Indians can have the reservations. Only Indians can have the gaming. So why aren't you approving it for everybody? Why are you being discriminatory? Why is it that the Indians don't pay tax, but everybody else does? I do.
I'm joined now by Jossie Ross, a member of the Blackfeet Nation, editor-at-large of the Indian Country Today Media Network. And Jossie, that exchange to me was so striking.
See, I even remember when they aired this.
He seems obsessed with this shtick for the last few weeks about he is the great, determiner of who has what ancestry.
Yeah, this is not a new script at all. I mean, in many ways, Native people have historically served as the canary in the coal mine in regards to racial relations, and this is no different, where you see him performing exactly the same shtick amongst our Muslim brothers and sisters, and as well as Hispanic Americans. And obviously now he's the authority on Native ancestry and Native authenticity in regards to Elizabeth Warren. The truth is that as the editor of Indian Country Today Media Network, and as somebody who works within many of our communities and social media as well, that I've never seen Donald Trump in any of our communities. And so it's preposterous, it's stupid, it's Trumponian in its scope that he is making these assertions that somehow he's an authority.
It also is the case, it seems to me, that part of this, you see in this committee, in this story of, his casinos are doing bad in Atlantic City because these people got something. Kind of the story of the kind of grievance that he personally seems animated by that has expanded out to so many groups as you listen to how he campaigns.
It's absolutely amazing. The United States government, as a matter of documented historical fact, kidnapped Native children and had a policy of kill the Indian, save the man. The United States government killed our food supply so they can wage all-out war against our communities many times. The United States government, through the IHS, the Indian Health Services, forcefully performed tubal ligations on Native women, but yet it was somehow the wealthy white man that was being picked on and discriminated against according to this lawsuit.
What is your feeling as someone active in your particular community watching the rise of this figure, particularly the fact that he is sort of, you've got this guy doing a war whoop in introducing him, but the way that he sort of talked about so many different groups?
Yeah. Well, it's not a surprise. And I think that we have to be very clear that Donald Trump is just a symbol for an antiquated, outdated mode of thought that unfortunately still exists and is still very prominent. It was prominent enough to, sometimes we feel like we're picking on Donald Trump, for having these outlandish positions, and we talk about him every single day, and it seems like he's such an easy target. But the truth is that he is running for president. He is the Republican nominee, and so that means there are people who legitimately believe in this man's platform, this hateful nonsense that he espouses.
All right. Jesse Ross, thank you very much.
Translation,
Really appreciate
hateful
it.
rhetoric. Now, I played that one, and I'm going to play this one. And then I'm going to be done. And that looks like, what's his name is back there. This one's an example of Japanese, so, okay, we'll let that slide, and we'll go with this. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about this. Hope you guys got to read that.
Donald, nice to talk to you.
Hello, Greta.
Well, there's big news today pitting the environmentalists against labor, and the Republicans against the Democrats, and business against anti-business, everybody else say over this Keystone Pipeline project. You thought about the news that it is at least no permit is going to be issued at least now for the pipeline?
Well, I think it's disgraceful, and frankly, we don't need Canada. We should just be able to drill our own oil. But as long as it's there, we certainly should have approved it. It was jobs, and it was cheaper oil, and it's just absolutely incredible. I guess President Obama took care of the environmentalists, but it is absolutely terrible. And it is not an environmental problem at all in any way, shape, or form.
You know what, though? I take it back one step further than, I guess, everybody else, in that in 2008, that was when the State Department agreed there would be an environmental impact study done to see what effect this pipeline would have, if any, on the environment. And what they did is they basically outsourced to the TransCanada, the pipeline company, to pick its own company to do the environmental study, and they picked a company that had other business with them. In essence, a conflict of interest. Right. So naturally, when the environmental study report came back, the impact came back last August, the company said, whether truthfully or not, is that it had no adverse impact on the environment. So it's like sending the fox out to guard the chicken coop. Our government is so stupid as to let a company who's got to get the environmental impact study done hire its own contractor, and naturally with a conflict of interest.
Okay,
so
clearly
it's
this
no
is
surprise.
not the right
You ought to
video.
look into it, frankly. Look into the political...
Because somehow or another, it done went to a video that I wasn't trying to play. But since I have recorded everything, I'm not going to delete it. I wanted to use the video of him talking about Pocahontas, Miss Warren, and the picture was totally misleading because that's the picture that I clicked on, and I got something totally different. So we're going to skip that. I'm not going to delete it. You guys heard everything that I didn't want you to hear, so let's go on and keep it. I'm not going to try and find these goddamn videos again, because clearly what's on here doesn't say anything. But we will play this video here about Standing Rock. Now, this might be good for you guys who like Donald Trump. Might be bad for me. But here's the thing.
My question is, you talk oil. We have refineries, new refineries that have not been built. We haven't had new refineries in the United States since the 70s. Keystone Pipeline, what will you do with that?
So the Keystone Pipeline, first of all, I'd approve it because it's thousands of jobs, okay? I would approve it so fast. So fast. And Hillary should have approved it. You know, Hillary wanted to approve it, but she's been dragged so far left that she's, forget it. It's a disaster. So I would approve it. But with that being said, I may want to make a better deal. Because you know what? We're bringing oil from Canada, right? I may say, I want 10%. We're going to approve it, but I want 10%, 15%. Because the truth is that the Keystone Pipeline was better a while ago than it is now. Because we have so much, because of new technology, we have so much energy underneath our own feet with the fracking and all of the other things that have emerged over the last 5 years. We have so much energy, and it's great stuff. We have really great quality, higher than Canada. You know, they have the tar sands, which is a problem for them. Very expensive to get it out. We have great stuff. So I would approve it because I love the jobs of building it. I love the jobs of building it. But I may just say maybe we should get 10%, 15%, maybe 20% as that oil flows through our land. You know, maybe we should do that. So I'm going to look into that. But when I approve it, I'll tell you what, when I approve it, it'll be a great deal for the United States. It won't be like, because right now what we're doing is we're approving it. We're not really getting anything. They're putting it underground, and that's good. And that's actually good environmentally, better than having trucks going down the roads, everything else. But that's good environmentally. But we're not getting anything much for it. When I get finished with the Keystone, they'll be happy, and we'll be happy, okay? So it'll be good.
Now, here's my thing on that. So I've showed you this one there about him and the border. And you know, for everybody who doesn't know anything about like Native American history, you know, it's kind of fracked up that everybody has already taken the land, but now they want to take more land. Now I want to play this last one, and the picture's probably misleading. So here's that in a nutshell, making sure. Sorry about the commercial.
A team of advisors in the Trump administration or upcoming Trump administration are planning to attempt to privatize oil-rich Indian reservations. Reservations specifically belonging to Native Americans. Now, understand that these reservations have a lot of oil. In fact, even though the land accounts for about 5% of land in the United States, it actually accounts for 1/5 of the oil reserves in the country. So now the group proposes to put those lands into private ownership, a politically explosive idea that could upend more than a century of policy designed to preserve Indian tribes on U.S.-owned reservations, which are governed by tribal leaders as sovereign nations. Now, Trump has this group of advisors that are specifically looking at Native American issues.
Because we haven't robbed the Native Americans enough.
Okay, this is incredible. Now,
Thank you, Young Turks.
4 out of the 5 chairs
Forgive me, I have to blow
in
my
this
nose.
group have ties to private oil companies.
What a surprise. I couldn't have seen that coming.
Yeah.
From the swamp.
Yeah. The Council of Energy Resources Tribes, a tribal energy consortium, estimated in 2009 that Indian energy resources are worth about $1.5 trillion. In 2008, the Bureau of Indian Affairs testified before Congress that reservations contained about 20% of untapped oil and gas reserves in the U.S. Okay, so let me get into some of the details about the pros and cons, right? So on one hand, okay, I think privatizing would be a disastrous idea. We know it's going to happen. We have a long history of trying to lure Native Americans in with certain deals in order to take advantage of the land that they govern, and then they end up losing that land, right? In this case, the way that these individuals are trying to sell this to Native Americans is by saying, look, you are sitting on top of a tremendous amount of oil, and you could profit from it. Don't you want to profit from it? But you can't because of the bureaucracy, because of the regulations. If it's now privately owned instead of public land, well, then we can do away with some of those regulations, and you can start making some money.
Oh, I'm sure that they're from the government. They're here to protect you. I think Native Americans have heard that spiel for quite some time.
Too many times.
So
the biggest lie ever
Trump
told.
Now saying, no, I don't care what Obama said about environmental impact statements at Standing Rock. His spokesperson came out today and said, no, we fully support Dakota Access Pipeline being built. Now they're going further and saying, well, you know, not only is there the unceded territory, which is at stake in the Standing Rock situation, but reservations, clearly 100% owned by Native Americans and at a sovereign territory. There's no dispute at all. We'd like those two. And so let's privatize, let's drill, baby, drill, and take more of the precious resources that are rightfully Native Americans and then see what happens.
Yeah.
So, look, they've done this with other nations throughout American history. You've got precious resources, whether it's bananas, literally, in Central America, or it's oil in Iran, and you've got a democracy, and in Iran in 1953 they had a democratically elected leader, and we organized a coup against them. Why? Because we wanted cheaper oil. And not for us, but for the people who ran the government. They literally worked for the corporations who made the oil deals after the coup.
Yep.
And so those private interests have been doing this for decades. Now it's coming home, and it's reservations within the United States of America. I know what you're thinking about how the corporate media has covered this election.
Oh, no, not again.
Right? Okay, luckily there's the Young Turks, and you make the Young Turks happen. We're powered by our members. tytnetwork.com/join. Be the revolution.
Amen. Now, I pointed that out for a reason. Now, I'm going to play this last video because I got to go take
a Native American interrupted an anti-illegal immigration protest in Arizona. Let's hear what he had to say.
None of you. Get on with your bogus arguments. Get on with your bogus arguments. We're the only legal ones here. We have Native Americans here. Yeah. We should have put that sign up when you son of a bitches came. Yeah, that's right. It represents blood. That represents blood spilled by Native Americans protecting this land from the invaders. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You don't want to hear the goddamn truth, do you? Get on, bitch. You don't want to hear the truth. That's what that flag stands for. All the Native Americans you killed to plant your houses here. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Get on, bitch.
Now, it is indisputable what he's saying. Now, it makes people uncomfortable, right? And we hope that the United States has gotten beyond, obviously, some of the atrocities that were committed. Obviously, we still have a lot to work on. But you can't dispute what he's saying. We did form the country by completely running over the Native Americans.
Yeah, this country was founded on illegal immigration.
Yeah, and quite literally, the people that came over on the Mayflower were undocumented immigrants.
Right.
They didn't have any papers. Okay, they didn't ask the permission of the Native Americans to land here. And then they certainly didn't ask the permission of the Native Americans when they started butchering them and then moving them onto reservations and then violating those agreements and moving them again and having them die on the road and then having them die on the reservations and having them die on the fields that they used to hunt in and live in, etc. Again, it was a long time ago, hundreds of years ago. You didn't do it, right? You didn't build that, right? But when he says, hey, listen, you guys were undocumented immigrants, so don't go complaining about undocumented immigrants now when the entire country was literally built on that. Well, that's tough to argue with.
And Arizona is a fascinating place because keep in mind that they have the strictest anti-undocumented immigrant policy in the country. You know, they passed SB 1070, which means that if you look like you're not white, you have to have your papers with you at all times, and they want to check your citizenship status at all times. So I don't really understand what this protest is about. You guys are already passing the extremely strict anti-immigration laws.
Not good enough. Like, build a wall. Build a wall. The flip side is, if the Native Americans had built a wall, and they might have been better off. Well, look, I don't know if the rest of us would have been better off. And, you know, I always talk in we's. Like, who's we? Like, I mean, I came to this country in 1978. Your parents came a little before that, etc. But I consider we, all of us, as Americans. Look, it's the melt. We threw all that stuff in there. The Irish that weren't there in the beginning with the Mayflower and the killing of the Native Americans. Some Irish were there, but not, a lot. And but we're all in it together now. We have to figure it out.
Clusterfuck.
And I know that we have to have a country of laws. That's what I talk about all the time. So I'm not saying, hey, lift the borders and any restrictions and have at it, Hoss, and have everybody pour into the country. I just don't get mad at the Native American dude, because he's totally right.
Thank you. All right, so we're not going to put any more videos of this up until later tonight. But, I'm going to make another video after I go pee. And thank you to the Young Turks, because they have touched on some of the stuff and the other videos that I placed on this video. So this will be the longest video that I've ever made, possibly. But I'm James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. Be seeing you.